Hello everyone, today is 15th of February, Saturday, so I hope you all have a wonderful day and a great weekend. Now it's 9:30 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. And there are quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment. Although before I start, let me ask you to become a Patreon for this project, if you can, and if you like my work, and if you think I deserve to be in this field of news and political commentary. All the links to support you will find under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. That's been said, let's go through some news now. And first of all, this report from RIA Novosti that Russian air defense systems on duty intercepted 40 drones overnight and the early hours of this morning. To be more precise, 17 drones, 17 formerly Ukrainian drones. In reality, we all know these long-range strikes are orchestrated by NATO member states. Some of them. So 17 drones were intercepted over the Volgograd region, 12 drones over the territory of Kaluga region, 9 drones over the territory of Rostov region, 2 drones over the Saratov region. At this point, this article does not provide us with any additional news on casualties on the ground or more or less significant damage, but if any update on that, of course I will share additional information on my Twitter X page and Telegram channel. We also have TASS news agencies report that due to this long-range drone strikes deep into Russian territory, in number of airports emergency measures were installed and there was no flights allowed, and these airports are located in Astrakhan, Vladikavkaz, where I am right now for several days. Also Volgograd, Grozny, Kaluga, Saratov, and Ulyanovsk. I believe several airports for now start operating in ordinary way. I guess there is no more threat, but some other airports still are introducing emergency measures to make sure that passengers and flights are safe and secure. RIA Novosti is also reporting that, well, there was an article in Wall Street Journal about first intercepted Ukrainian, so-called Ukrainian, formerly Ukrainian, in reality NATO's F-16 fighter jet over their sky of so-called Ukraine. And this incident occurred last summer, and initially there was quite a number of reports in open sources that most likely this was a friendly fire and Patriot air defense systems launch a missile towards F-16 and destroyed. Kiev regime never acknowledged this, but well, Wall Street Journal did find out that yes, that was exactly their case. And first F-16 failed to Patriot battery. Since then, number of, according to some reports, number of other F-16s were destroyed. One was intercepted by Russia for sure in air, and at least according to reports, by the way. I was not there, obviously. I cannot know for sure, but that was reports in open sources, and at least several F-16s were destroyed on the ground as a result of Russian long-range precise strikes on airfields on Kiev-controlled territory. Also, TASS news agency is reporting that, according to latest update of Russian Defense Ministry, Russian Armed Forces liberated settlements of Zelenaye Polye and Dachnoye in DPR, Donetsk People's Republic. Zelenaye Polye is located on the northern eastern side of Pokrovsk-Mirnograd agglomeration. Well, this is Zelenaye Polye settlement, by the way, and yes, it is on the northern eastern side of Pokrovsk-Mirnograd agglomeration, and Dachnoye settlement is on the southern western flank of Pokrovsk sector, and yes, this is Dachnoye. So this settlement is also under full Russian control. I reported about progress of the Russian armed forces in this direction a couple of days ago, at least. But you know, Russian Defense Ministry, it is quite conservative institution, and sometimes it takes quite a time before acknowledging progress of the Russian armed forces on line of contact. Excuse me. As you know, I got flu, by the way, so I'm still dealing with it. Sorry for inconvenience. TASS news agency is also reporting that Russian armed forces finalizing clearing operation in the Chisov Yar city, which is located west of Bakhmut. And at this point, some 80% of the town is under full Russian control, and their clearing operation is underway in rest, which is just about 20%. I guess it will take no longer than, I don't know, maybe a week or two, and Chisov Yar will be fully liberated. Although, who knows, actually, but I guess this is quite realistic that in about 2 weeks' time, Chisov Yar will become under full Russian control. Also, we have a report about yesterday's provocation, nuclear provocation of the Kyiv regime and its Western backers when they targeted with a drone sarcophagus of Chernobyl nuclear power station. And Kremlin reacted on it, and the press spokesman of the Russian president, Dmitry Peskov, called this incident or provocation of the Kyiv regime. And well, it's not just a provocation, but it's a nuclear terrorism, actually. I'm quite sure it was not just a Kyiv regime, but most likely MI6, British MI6 intelligence service or secret service was directly involved in this terrorist attack, in this false flag operation, to then blame Russia. And I'm quite sure CIA, US Central Intelligence Agency, was also informed, if not directly involved in this terrorist attack, because of the new administration in US. At least CIA was informed that Kyiv regime and MI6 was planning this terrorist attack. And by the way, they know obviously architecture of the sarcophagus, and they targeted it in a place and damaged it in a place which was not crucial for safety, radioactive safety, and therefore according to IAEA experts or International Atomic Energy Agency, radioactive phone in the area is it didn't change. It's in a stable phase. So well, what can I say? Kremlin called it a provocation of the Kyiv regime. I guess everybody in this world realize straight away. Everybody who is really wants to know what is going on, and they're not influenced by crazy nonsensical propaganda of the Western ruling class, knew straight away that this is false flag operation, and it is a false flag. But I will say Kyiv regime and London failed actually to generate as much Russophobic hysteria in the West as they were hoping for, because this false flag was not a topic of discussion, at least main topic of discussion on the sidelines of Munich Security Conference yesterday, at least, because I guess no one wants to publicly talk about Kyiv regime's false flag operations and blame it on Russia, because they know no one will believe them, right? Hardly anybody believes representatives of the Western so-called elites anyways, but I guess they had enough of the lies, right? Pure lies. So therefore, Kyiv regime and London clearly failed to generate some tsunami of the anti-Russian hysteria. But their actions clearly speak volume. Out of desperation, Kiev regime and its Western backers, especially European backers, can go a long way, by the way, can go a long way in their terrorist activity and in their attempts to somehow keep US involved in this proxy war against Russia. As we all understand, dear friends, there is some sort of civil war inside the Western ruling class, isn't it? Civil war between part of Western ruling class that prioritizes US and part of Western ruling class that prioritizes Europe. There is a clearly civil war between them, and seems like US is finally run right now after Trump is in administration by this group that prioritizes US, and this another one, let's say a European part of it, we can call them I don't know, Rothschild clan or whatever. This another one is extremely not happy. They want US to be used and abused by them again and again and again, and they will go as far as they possibly can until being challenged to keep US involved in all of this, right? So therefore, if this group in Western ruling class that is more focused on US, more focused on some other regions of this world that can actually challenge their position in this world, this group has to be very careful with the European so-called elites and part of Western ruling class that prioritizes Europe, preferring further continuation of abuse of US, because they are capable of anything. They are capable of anything. So yes, yet another terrorist, nuclear terrorism on part of Kiev regime, and it's in this particular case European backers. Our team, meanwhile, is reporting that Zelensky once again was given an opportunity to discredit himself, and this time on the Munich Security Conference, and he spoke some quite nonsensical stuff, by the way, as he always does. And this time he demanded 1.5 million strong army and European and US taxpayers to finance it, armed it, and pay for everything, absolutely. I mean, you tell me what you think about it, dear friends. I don't think this idea is gonna fly. Especially in US, by the way. I don't know about Europe. Maybe European taxpayers are happy to continue pay for whatever Zelensky asks for, but in US, winds are changing, by the way, direction. That's for sure. Also, interesting article was in Washington Post, according to which during the recent visit of Treasury Secretary, that was, or some high-ranking official, or finance minister. Anyways, during the recent visit of some high-ranking official from new administration of Trump into Kiev, Zelensky refused to sign an agreement which will allow US to own basically at least 50% of rare earth materials that will be mined in Kiev controlled territory or in the so-called Ukraine. At least that's what Washington Post is reporting. And at the same time, Zelensky still is pushing the narrative that he's willing to negotiate with US. He's attempting to trade. He clearly lost understanding who he is and where his place is, right? And I guess he and his inner circle really believe that they are in a position to negotiate anything with US. I mean, come on, man. How out of touch with reality you have to be to forget that you are freaking puppet, and that's it, nothing more, right? And you cannot dictate to your boss nothing, and Washington is a boss, right? in this in collective West in general, and obviously Washington is a boss for Kiev regime. Even if Zelensky and his criminal associates are enjoying close support of London, Brussels, some other European capitals, they should understand that Washington is a big boss, right? And Zelensky is in no position to dictate anything to Washington. But anyways, I guess Zelensky did not sign up for that paper because he had some other ideas, and that idea is to organize some sort of auction and offer rare earth that he is not in control of, actually, at least of territories where majority of rare earth materials are located, or at least discovered, in this former Soviet Republic. But anyways, I guess Zelensky and his criminal associates had idea to create some sort of auction and offer this rare earth that they don't have to US and EU simultaneously. And that's exactly what is happening, because so-called Ukrainian Prime Minister Shmyhal offers critical minerals to EU. So Ukraine processes vast reserves of uranium, lithium, and other minerals, resources critical to survival of European Union. Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal wrote an article for Politico on Friday, promising EU officials and their businesses hundreds of billions of dollars in potential profits. So, do I have a point, by the way, by saying that seems like these idiots, Zelensky, Shmyhal, and the rest of the garbage there in Kiev, they are clearly trying to do some sort of auction and challenge US by inviting EU into this discussion. I mean, this is crazy, man. All it takes for Washington to say to European so-called politicians to jump, and they will ask how high. That's what is going to happen, by the way. Right? So I don't know, man. I don't know. It's difficult to seriously comment anything at this point that comes out from Europe and Zelensky's regime, obviously. Point is, when it comes to rare earth materials, I think what will happen is that US will negotiate this topic with Russia behind the doors, behind the closed doors, and I guess some sort of agreement might be reached that US companies will partner after everything is said and done, right? And final agreements are reached and hostilities are ended, and I guess at some point, obviously, some work will be done on some rare materials on liberated territories. It might take years, but eventually, I mean, if there is a potential to be used to rebuild these regions, obviously Moscow will authorize that. And I guess Moscow can have agreement with US that in that process of working on rare earths, US companies will have a priority to partner with the Russian companies. So it will benefit both sides, right? And at this point, by the way, I guess Washington also knows this, and they don't really need to talk to Kiev about anything, really, right? Because they know even if part of Western ruling class that is prioritizing Europe, even if that group will still manage to further intensify this proxy war against Russia, at least for another phase, eventually they will be forced to acknowledge reality and to start de-escalating. And therefore, Trump's administration and most importantly, this group of Western ruling class that is prioritizing US definitely is in a position to basically chill little bit, just take a time, let Kiev regime destroy itself as much as possible, to let European part of Western ruling class further weaken itself, and then Washington will start play big game. That game already maybe have started a little bit, first steps, but it is a long way to go, I guess, still. Meanwhile, dear friends, RT is reporting that Saudi Arabia welcomes idea of Putin-Trump summit in the kingdom. So Saudi Arabia said on Friday it commended their phone call between Russian President Vladimir Putin and US President Donald Trump, and it welcomed the idea of them meeting in the kingdom. And that's exactly what might happen. President Trump has good working relationships with the Saudi Crown Prince, and same can be said about Russian president. So Saudi Arabia definitely can be a place where Russia and US presidents will have face-to-face meeting sometime in the future. Although, by the way, some other countries also want to host this meeting, including China. But if China is okay for Russia to be the host, I don't think China is okay for US to be the host. So therefore, Beijing's chances, I guess, are slim to none to host such talks. So therefore, Saudi Arabia, Riyadh is in a good place in this regard. So yes, let's see. Main point is how effectively Trump and his administration, and most importantly, part of Western ruling class that prioritizes US, will manage to avoid further involvement in this proxy war against Russia that European part of Western ruling class is still pushing for. As I said, there is clearly civil war inside the Western ruling class, and it seems to me that this part of it that is prioritizing US is for peace now. And if so, they definitely have to be careful as much as possible, and quite proactive too to prevent any such a scale of provocation from European so-called elites that will make it almost impossible for Moscow and Washington to achieve any deal on the escalation. I hope I'm explaining my understanding of the bigger picture well enough. Sorry for my poor English, dear friends, but I'm trying, I'm learning. So yes, let's go through some other news anyways. And RT is reporting that Pentagon refused to rule out nuclear weapons for Ukraine, which is quite unfortunate, to say the least, obviously. The final decision on whether to provide nuclear weapons to Ukraine rests with US President Donald Trump, and the possibility of such a move has not been ruled out. Pentagon Chief Pat Hegseth has stated in an interview with Breitbart published on Thursday. Quite unfortunate statement. What can I say, dear friends? The issue has been raised by Ukrainian leader Volodymyr Zelensky, who has argued that Ukraine must either be fast-tracked into NATO or given more weaponry as a security guarantee in case of potential peace deal. Hegseth had described Kyiv's ambition to recover its 2014 borders as unrealistic, saying Ukraine should prepare for a negotiated peace, potentially supported by international troops. The US Defense Secretary clarified that his remarks should not be construed as ultimatums, but that they reflect realism, and that it is ultimately up to Trump to decide on the matter. I am not the one that declares red lines or not. I work with the president as we work through these issues, but we believe that it was useful just to speak some reality into a conversation. He said, ultimately, President Trump is the only one who is going to determine if there is a wiggle room or movement on any particular position. Okay. It is unfortunate that Hexa did not say that no nukes for Kyiv regime, and then that's it, period. And obviously, I don't believe that US will transfer its nukes to Ukrainian terrorists. Obviously not. But what I'm afraid of is that that Western ruling class, which is divided at this point, as far as I understand, and but still actively involved in this proxy war against Russia. So this European part of Western ruling class will definitely try, maybe with their active use of their assets in US, to provide Kyiv regime with their scientific with scientific support to create atomic bombs or dirty bombs based on radioactive elements that already are in Kyiv controlled territory due to decades of work of nuclear power plants, right? And one of the byproduct of work of nuclear reactors is a plutonium, by the way. Just tiny amounts of plutonium are generated as a result of work of specific nuclear power plants. And when these power plants are working for years and decades, these tiny amounts are becoming quite a volume, right? And after all, I don't think it was random that Western propaganda outlets, one after another, are pushing this narrative that Kyiv regime potentially can build their tens and even hundreds of atomic bombs if they want to, right? And I have every reason to believe that transformation of Kyiv regime into a nuclear armed regime is planned the next phase of escalation against Russia, planned by Western ruling class. And therefore, it is extremely unfortunate that Pat Hexet, who represents Trump's administration and therefore, I guess, part of Western ruling class that is prioritizing US and therefore should be for the escalation with Russia. It is unfortunate that he was unable to say that there will be no nukes for Ukraine, no nuclear Ukraine, period, right? That's what he should say. After all, US is still member of agreement on non-proliferation, right? It's an easy call. It's an easy call, and I struggle to understand why he was unable to say what is right. I don't know. Maybe some people in Trump's administration are working for European part of Western ruling class that wants this nuclear phase of escalation to happen, or transformation of Kyiv regime into a nuclear armed regime. I don't know. You tell me, dear friends, but this is an easy call. This is supposed to be easy call for Pat Hexet. He should say US is a member of Treaty of Non-Proliferation, and therefore, obviously, Washington will never ever support transfer of military nuclear technologies or the weapons, nuclear weapons, to any country or any regime in this world, including Kyiv regime. It's easy stuff, right? But he went to say that final decision on whether to provide nuclear weapons to Ukraine rests with the U.S. President Donald Trump. What the hell are you talking about, man? Why you are doing this dance around the topic? It's not good. So, I mean, who you can trust, dear friends? I don't know who you can trust. In one hand, I want to believe that Trump's administration and forces that are behind this group really realized that for the continuation of this proxy war against Russia is fatal for collective West itself and weakens US immensely, right? Which is true. But we need some actual steps from Washington to not to believe, because I mean, it is difficult to believe anything that comes out of any Western state at this point, or Western elites, let's say. But definitely some concrete steps are needed from Washington to lay down grounds for at least some sort of conversation and attempts to of real de-escalation to take place between Russia and US. And such a talk like Pat Hexet give on topic of nuclear Ukraine is definitely not helpful. And he also said, by the way, that you know, who knows, maybe in 25 years Ukraine may become NATO member state, which is also not helpful, right? So I don't know, man. I don't know. Some members of our community were critical of me when I was saying that you know, I don't trust statements from Washington that they want the escalation. But I have reasons, by the way, not to trust those statements, isn't it? And I'm demonstrating at least some of those reasons. These people today are saying one stuff, tomorrow another, and day after something so crazy that hardly even, that makes it hard to even take seriously or comment seriously. Like Hexet statements on nuclear Ukraine. I mean, why you are dancing around the topic? Say that US will never ever support transformation of nuclear weapons or nuclear technology, military nuclear technology, to any country and any regime anywhere in this world because of their participation in non-proliferation treaty. That's it, man. It's simple. But he did not say so. Said so. Why? Anyways, dear friends, let's continue with some more news. And we have TASS News Agency's report that Hamas might release today Russian citizen Alexander Trufanov, who also has Israeli citizenship. Let's see if this will happen. TASS News Agency has information here that Hamas decided to release Russian national Alexander Trufanov from Gaza on February 15 in recognition of Russia's support for Palestinian people. Spokesman for the group told the TASS News Agency. And today more hostages might be released by Hamas because today is a deadline that Trump and Prime Minister of Israel Netanyahu, issued for Hamas. As you know, dear friends, both individuals, Trump and Netanyahu, threatened the Gaza Strip with hell on earth if all hostages are not released by 12 o'clock. Saturday. Today. So let's see how the situation develops. Trump was asked about his threats towards Palestine, towards Hamas, and that's what he says. U.S. President Donald Trump favored taking a hard stance on the Gaza Strip unless Palestinian radical movement Hamas releases all Israeli hostages on February 15th. And then, quote, I don't know what's going to happen on 12 o'clock, at 12 o'clock. If it was up to me, I would take a very hard stance, but I cannot tell you what Israel is going to do. Well, Trump basically is calling for Netanyahu to resume military operations and maybe even to start conducting large-scale ethnic cleansing that Trump actually spoke about a number of days ago when he suggested that all Palestinians should be removed from the Gaza Strip. So it's only a couple, by Moscow time now it's 8 past 10. I don't know what time is now in Gaza Strip. But I guess it is a probability that today Netanyahu's regime will resume military hostilities. I don't know. Let's see. RT meanwhile is reporting that J.D. Vance, vice president of U.S., named the biggest threats for Europe yesterday during his speech in Munich's security conference. And I'm gonna tell you, dear friends, I listened to his speech, and it was quite impressive. European so-called elites were definitely not ready for such assault from U.S. high-ranking official, because Vance went hard, by the way, on Europe on many directions, basic human rights, religious rights, and there are many other topics, freedom of expression and freedom of speeches and so on. And he stated that the main threat for Europe comes not from China or Russia, but from within, because of the degradation of their some democratic principles and values that used to unite Europe and the US. That was his narrative, basically, narrative of his speech, and he had some good points for sure, and I was quite impressed, I have to say, by the way. I will give him a credit. Speech was not bad, maybe not as historic as Putin's speech in 2007, but definitely one of the most important speeches for a number of years now, and who knows, maybe with far-reaching consequences, because he delivered a message not just from to Europe, on behalf of US and on behalf of that group of Western ruling class that is actually prioritizes US, right? And they are saying to European elites, you know what? Know your place. Know your place. Game is over. That's what is happening, man. And out of desperation, by the way, this another part of the Western ruling class that is clearly losing, sort of, in this civil war, internal civil war with the pro-American ones. That group is, and their puppets in European governments are capable of absolutely anything, right? Out of desperation, they can come up with any sort of provocation, by the way. And the entire world should be careful. Entire world should be careful, because civil war inside the probably most influential clans of this world is definitely going to be some very nasty stuff with the very nasty consequences for the entire world. But anyways, well, credit should be given when it deserved. Vance was on top of the game yesterday. I mean, quite impressive speech. Well done. TASS news agency is also reporting that very same Vance, by the way, earlier, media reported that Vance actually threatened Russia. Allegedly, not actually, but allegedly threatened Russia with the deployment of US troops in Ukraine, and there are some sanction wars and that kind of stuff. This was reported by Wall Street Journal, I believe. Yes, Wall Street Journal initially, and then all the other media outlets start talking about it, about threats of the J.D. Vance. And it was quite confusing, right? On one hand, Trump is talking about de-escalation. On the other hand, vice president is talking about escalation. So which one is? So therefore, press spokesman of the Russian president, Dmitry Peskov, was asked about Kremlin's reaction, what they think of these statements of Vance, and that's what Dmitry Peskov said. Moscow perceives the recent threats made by U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance regarding American troops deployment on Ukrainian soil and anti-Russian sanctions as a new components of the U.S. position, which should be clarified during upcoming bilateral discussions, because Vance actually spoke on the topics that was never previously highlighted in talks between the representatives of the two countries. Understandable reaction of the Kremlin, because seems like they were kind of surprised to read that Vance was threatening Russia. And lately, by the way, later on yesterday, Vance himself commented on the situation, and he accused Wall Street Journal of twisting his words about potentially sending US troops to Ukraine. So US Vice President J.D. Vance accused the Wall Street Journal of distorting his comments about the possibility of sending US troops to Ukraine. The fact that the Wall Street Journal twisted my words in the way they did for this story is absurd, but not surprising considering they have spent years pushing for more American sons and daughters in uniform to be unnecessarily deployed overseas, he said on XX. So I guess this particular issue is resolved. There was some provocation on part of Wall Street Journal. Seems like, right? Or I don't know, maybe something else is happening, but let's go with what Vance himself is saying on the situation. And dear friends, a few more news. How long is this update? It's already 42 minutes. So Trump offered their F-35 fighters, by the way, 5th gen fighter jets to India right now. Last several days there is a huge air show in India, and hundreds of companies are participating from entire world, including US and Russian companies. Russia has presented its 5th gen fighter jet, Su-57 export variant. US has presented their F-35, and Trump himself stated that yes, Washington is considering to offer F-35s to India, and I guess India will take this offer because New Delhi seems like looking for closer ties with Washington for I guess security reasons first of all, and therefore even though New Delhi has a choice, F-35 or Su-57, both 5th gen fighter jets, Su-57 Russian fighter is a defensive tool. It's an interceptor primarily. It's a plane for aerial fight, although well capable of ground attack operations. While F-35 is actually offensive weapon system. It's about ground attack first of all, because as a fighter jet, as an interceptor, F-35 is zero in all regards. But F-35 is garbage anyways, by the way. Let's be clear on that. F-35 is a garbage anyways. Biggest scam U.S. military-industrial complex has ever pulled off. That's what F-35 is. But yet again, U.S. is pushing every country it can to buy this garbage and to pay Lockheed Martin or whatever company is producing this rubbish. So yeah, they are pushing all the countries to pay tens of billions of dollars for this, and I guess India will do the same. It's a mistake, but I think India will purchase F-35s, and it will regret about it very soon. It will regret about it very soon, but it's India's business, by the way. It's India's business. If they want to, okay, they can have it. Chinese will laugh, by the way. India obviously wants to be on a level with China and Pakistan when it comes to its military. Neighbors with which relationships are not necessarily on the best level. Well, what can I say, man? China will laugh if India will purchase F-35s. I don't think Chinese will laugh if India will purchase Su-57s, because Fu-57s can take out anything that China can come up with. J-20 or J-35 or whatever. Su-57s are much more superior fighter planes, best fighter planes ever existed in this world, better than F-22 if you ask me. But still, India will buy a US F-35 and will regret about it almost immediately, by the way. Just mark my word. Most definitely that is going to happen. Anyways, let's continue. As you know, Trump suggested that Russia should be back into G7 club, and G7 should be transformed into G8 again. And Moscow reacted on that, and Kremlin, press spokesman of the Russian president Dmitry Peskov, said that G7 has lost its economic leadership in this world and relevance, and Moscow has no interest to in G7 or G8. Russia prefers G20, work to be continued in G20 and to be focused on G20 more. And Peskov has a point. G7 countries, name me one country in G7 that is leading this world in economical growth or in anything, really. One may argue that, well, US is in leading position when it comes to AI and some latest technologies. You sure about it? Some Chinese companies, just for some $5 million or something, created their AI that is crushing multi-billion-dollar chat GTP or GPT or whatever that is. And you are telling me that US is superior when it comes to latest technologies over the China? I don't think so, really. I just don't, right? China, just recently, by the way, kept for 17 minutes straight its tokamak operating. And you know what that is? It's an instrument that is creating basically artificial sun. I am not joking, by the way. And temperatures inside of that infrastructure is reaching 100 million degrees. And it is necessary to generate enough pressure so that atoms will fuse. And while fusing, huge volume of energy is released. That's how sun is operating, right? Helium atoms are fused, and huge volume of energy is released as a result of it. And well, China is leading this field also, by the way, in terms of creating a fusion reactors. And I was surprised to learn that recently they managed to run their experimental fusion reactor for 17 minutes straight, which is crazy, man. And as I said, 100 million degrees temperature was reached during that process. So it is impressive, isn't it? So yes, what G7, man? What you are talking about? G20, I can understand. In G20, you will find countries that are leading this world in many ways. Some is growing with unprecedented pace. Some is leading in this field, or some in other field. But G7, okay, US is at least major superpower in this world. But what about the rest of the countries that are in G7? I mean, Japan. I mean, is there anything to say about Japan, by the way? Anything interesting? I don't think so. Right? Some irrelevant island nation somewhere. Okay. Italy, you know, what about Italy, by the way? What impressive achievements Italy had for last 2, 3, 4, 5 decades? What? Anything? No. France, with their economical decline, stretch beyond limit social fabric, with no future, or Germany, that barely can remember what it represents or should represent, UK, come on, man. It's not serious. So therefore, G7 is just a laughing stock, man. Let's be real here. If you don't believe me, ask members of our community from these countries, by the way. They will tell you how happy they are with their huge achievements of their countries under current stupid leadership that they have, or so-called elites, by the way. You know. And I will end this update on this news that Russian central bank made decision to maintain current level of interest rate, which is quite high, not quite high, really no, high, 21%. But economy reacted positively on this development because expectations were that central bank might increase further interest rate, but because it did not happen, now there is an optimistic view that economical bloc that has all their data, by the way, managed to deal significantly with the main issue that Russian economy was facing at this point, which is overheating. So if that's the case, then I guess in 2025 interest rates will stay around 20-21%, and from 2026 we will see, maybe before towards end of this year, interest rates will even drop for like 4-5%, maybe, and next year maybe it will drop further, and eventually towards end of 2026 interest rate will be on a level of I don't know, 12-13%. That would be great, by the way. That would be great. Not ideal, obviously. Still, by the way, 10-12-13% is really high, but at least it's much better than 21, which is now, right? That makes it's absolutely impossible for ordinary people like myself and ordinary families to take mortgage, by the way, and the current interest rates. Mortgage is out of question. 110%, right? But well, hopefully, a couple of years and the situation will normalize. Let's see, by the way. And well, this is it for now. Hopefully you will find this update informative, interesting, useful. And if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary just about anything. This is the only way we can at least try and influence this crazy algorithm, by the way, that hates my channel, especially on YouTube. And yes, if you can, please share information about my channel, share my videos with your friends. And well, if you like my work and want to support her, as I already said, you can do it through several means. All the links are on this video description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a wonderful day and take care.